Episode 5 of Day of the Jackal starts in Tallinn, Estonia. The Jackal is warned by Leonore that if he doesn't deliver, there will be repercussions. Those he's working for are more powerful than he can imagine. If he has doubts, then he just needs to speak to Norman Stoke about this. Leonore told the Jackal, "I will stay in Tallinn until you delivered, and if you need anything, then you can call me." Well, the Jackal is not particularly enthused about having a babysitter, but this one's non-negotiable. Bianca shows at the hospital to see Larry. She immediately starts torturing him, suffocating the guy with a pillow, and offering up a favorable prison sentence and Norman staying alive, but Larry doesn't play ball. At least not to begin with. The Jackal speaks to Norman and questions him over what's been happening with him. He confirms there's something unusual, which are a bunch of visitors who showed up while he was on a business trip. He took care of them before slipping away. Jackal said, "Are you 100% secure now?" Norman said, "Yes, 100%. Jackal said to him, "You know I don't like risks." Norman responds, "I don't either." Jackal decides to work alongside Norman to make the deadline. He told Norman the target range is 7 a.m. He needs something to get through the metal detectors and contemplates whether he could use a cast to smuggle things through. Jackal decided to meet Norman face to face at Budapest, Hungary. Eventually, he spills that Norman is in and gives a visual description of the place to help them narrow down where he is. Norman told them it's out of town at Budapest. There's a coffee shop at the corner of Norman Street, and there are stables out the back with horse. It's a big white building with a gate and yard. That's all I know. Bianca does suss out that UDC is the next target, but she's keeping this from Isabel. As advised, she's keeping her circle close. Bianca told the MI6, "I have find out the Norman now, because we have a rough idea of his location." MI6 advised her, "If you find the exact location of Norman, then let me know. I'll make arrangement for to help you." For now, Jackal meets up with Norman, and the pair head off together at Budapest. Jackal informed the Norman about his arrival, then Norman comes to pick. MI6 updates the Vince that there are 11 locations around the airport within the radius of 60 m that fit your criteria. While work is a bit hit or miss, Bianca's personal life is a mess. She shows up to see Jasmine and Paul, who brings up that they're pretty freaked out by what's happened. Paul is actually staying with his ex-wife at the moment, which isn't doing their marriage any favor, I'm sure, but bringing danger into their home has crossed the line. Bianca opens up and explains the severity of her job, but unfortunately, her marriage's foundation has been uprooted. Paul tells her he doesn't recognize her and walks away, leaving Bianca teary-eyed and struggling. Norman asked about the limitation to make the snipper gun. Jackal informed the detail, like main limitation is the size of the gun. Norman asked him, "Did you need a trigger guard?" Jackal said no, just I want a trigger removable like last one so I could attach it just before firing. And he showed him a whole mechanism, and it should be fit in this one. By seeing this, Norman was surprised. Jackal also told him about the sensitive scanner. Norman told him that fracture boots are made up of plastic and polymers, and they could get through the scanner easily. Jackal told him, "I want barrel should be made up of plastic." Norman said it's not possible, but we can try it by low round count disposable barrel made up of alloy. Nuria heads back home, but she's still not convinced her husband is who he says he is. The Jackal, though, is busy wrapped up with his drama involving Norman. He tries to find out where Norman went for his business trip. He brings up he was in Belarus and shot at by MI6 and Bianca. He got a tip-off from an anonymous number telling him to clear out. The Jackal warns that this better not backfire. Vince rings in the morning with details that they've managed to find a location where Norman is hiding out. However, his construction of the cast is complete, and the whole thing cleverly turns into a weapon. As a cast, you'd never have guessed. Jackal asked Norman how to build it, then Norman updated him with all consequences. Jackal reached a secret place to test the gun shoot, while the Jackal heads out to give the gun a test ride. Bianca, Vince, and others reach to the Budapest, where Jackal was unaware that Bianca, Vince, and the others are closing in on Norman's safe house. The Jackal happens to be watching from the coffee shop, though, and he hurriedly rings Norman. As MI6 close in, the Jackal tells him to clean up. After deleting files from the computer, Norman tries to buy some time, but he's soon apprehended. He doesn't do a particularly good job of cleaning up after himself, and Bianca immediately questions him over the Jackal. Norman was repeating one sentence, "I haven't the foggiest idea what you're talking about." Vince told the Norman, "We know Jackal's been contracted for another hit," which made sense he'd need another weapon. Unfortunately, there's a bag of Jackal's things on the sofa, so she decides to try and bait him into showing up. During waiting for Jackal, Bianca asked Norman, "How you got my home address?" Again, Norman repeat his sentence, "I haven't the foggiest idea what you're talking about," and laughs that then Bianca told him, "It'll be very hard to you that your location is given by your own brother Larry. When we'll find out the Jackal, then all of you will be in jail for the rest of your life." Jackal, though, cleans up and shoots Norman before leaving on a horse. They don't shoot the horse, though, and aren't particularly good shots, to be honest, as the Jackal heads into the woods in the dead of night, and after a tense cat and mouse chase, manages to slip away, avoiding the barrage of bullets Bianca unleashes into the water. The Jackal survives, but it's undoubtedly a close call. In fact, when he falls asleep in a barn, he awakens to find a gun in his face. He's tied up and looks set to meet a nasty end. Subscribe this channel for World Wide Web series.